Update: my sister thinks that her husband is the father of my unborn baby. Too long did not read. Max is not the father of my child, as we all knew. Max and Mary are reunited, and Mary is getting counseling for her mental health issues. I am taking some space from all of them. Just to clear up a few things on my first post, so I don't have to repeat these again here. My ex-husband is alive. When I said, I lost my husband and my job, people thought he died. He cheated and I worked for him, so when we separated I lost my husband and my job. No one died. Max and I have never slept together. The father of my child is a one-night stand, which Mary knows, and she said she was supportive of me tracking him down. I let Max stay with me because his family are in another country, his friends have turned on him, and his only other option was a shelter. He could not afford a hotel because without Max and I there, Mary had to pay for professional childcare, among other things. So if Max got a hotel, Mary would not have been able to pay for everything she needed for herself and Maggie. Shortly after my first post I told Max he had to go home. He didn't want to involve police before this, but I told him that if nothing else doing this would get him access to Maggie, so he went to the station and someone escorted him inside. Mary was at work, so the new nanny let them in. Mary threw a shitfit that night, but Max stayed put. Mary then came to my place, saying I need to let her stay here to make up for ruining her marriage. I told her that was bullshit but let her stay. She went home the next day and said Max would be sleeping in the office until the DNA results came in. I called around a few clinics as our original appointment was booked for the 16th of November and found somewhere that could do the test sooner, but it would cost a lot more and require some traveling. I told Max, who booked it because he just wanted the test done ASAP. Had the test, got the results, and to the surprise of absolutely fucking no one, Max is not the father of my child. Mary said that this didn't prove we weren't sleeping together, just that Max didn't impregnate me. At that point I gave up, and Max said he was moving out and starting a divorce, which she then said was further proof that he wanted to leave her to be with me so Max and I can play house and I can cook and clean and take care of the kids and be a better wife than she can, and that's when everything clicked. We don't know if this is postpartum or what, but it's clearly a mental health thing, linked to her going back to work and me helping them out at home and being friends with Max. Max wants to make things work, and so does Mary, so hopefully counseling and therapy help. I am taking a step back because while I love Maggie and Max is still my best friend, I don't want to be around Mary right now. She said some shit to me that I didn't appreciate and hasn't apologized, and I'm pregnant and stressed and don't really need that energy in my life. So I think that maybe some space is needed. Edit. I will be using the original appointment on the 15th to test the guy the first believe is the father. I know I asked last time about how we get things back to normal and I'd like to repeat that question here. How do we get things back to normal? You can't until she gets professional help because she is the problem. She needs therapy and probably medication as well. I'd just go NC with both until she gets her mind right. She also owes you a massive apology. She's taking her paranoia and craziness out on you and that's not okay. You don't go back to normal. This is one of those point of no return situations. Mary will not believe you and will be a constant sore. The sooner you realize that for now. You didn't have a sister, the better for your mental health it's gonna be. Remember, you cannot light yourself on fire to keep others warm. Also stop letting your sister trample all over you. Go NC for now and don't allow her go talk to you in that way. Also, why the fuck did you let her stay with you? Grow a backbone for yourself and have some self-worth. You don't live your life for other people. Only for your own. I wonder if your sister didn't cheat on Max recently. People who cheat often irrationally accuse their partner of cheating to alleviate guilt or shift the blame in their mind. Classic projection. Who would do everything they can to get rid of an otherwise great partner except someone who is already cheating and looking to move on to their new relationship? Distance yourself and let Mary figure out what is wrong with her if she wants to fix it. She needs to work on herself for now and you don't need to be involved in that process. There's honestly no going back from that. I don't mean that in a negative way, truly. There's just no healthy way to reset your relationship before this whole shitshow happened unless you all sweep it under the rug and forget it all happened. And you obviously don't and shouldn't do that. I think it best you just keep your distance. Let her come to you, or don't. Mary has been yanking you and Max around by the nose. You shouldn't be the one to extend the olive branch when it all settles down. If she doesn't apologize, well, I wouldn't bother answering the next time Mary comes around. Y'all aren't coming from normal, so there's no going back to it. In theory, you all could find something more close to normal again. What is happening here isn't normal, and it didn't just come out of nowhere, but based on your responses to the comments, it sounds like your sister may be significantly resistant to changing. Which makes me so sad for her kid. What a shitty hand to be dealt. My advice? Strive for normal in your own life. Not in your relationship to your sister. This may mean significantly changing your relationship. It will be hard, and it will be sad, and it will be something hundreds of other people who love their family do every day. I'm astounded he wants to save the marriage. Good fucking luck to Max. Distance, distance, distance. I know it is hard to cut ties with family, but do not invite them in your home. Decline their calls, do not answer their texts. That should have been done the first time she accused you. Cut ties. Do paternity test, send her the results, no context or messages needed. Cutting ties coldly like that usually proves that you had no emotional attachments, else, how could you just go cold? Do not speak to them again, not for at least a year. It's hard, but stress can cause a bunch of developmental issues to the baby, with some studies linking stress to child mental disorders and slow development to cardiac problems. Sadness, if cutting ties to my understanding, is less harmful than stress. I discovered my mom is cheating on my dad. They have been together for over 25 years. I, 28F, have recently discovered that my mom, 57F, is cheating on my dad, 61M, with her boss. I was using my mom's phone to send some pictures and had to go to her text messages. I saw messages from her and her boss that completely give it away. My dad does everything for my mom. They have been married for over 25 years. I am so mad and so disgusted. I don't know what to do. Do I talk to my mom? Do I tell my dad first? Any advice will be helpful. Do not tell your mom before you tell your dad. If you do, she will manipulate you into staying quiet, promising you she'll end it. But she won't, instead she'll just take it further underground. Happens in every story on here where the cheating parent is confronted before the betrayed parent is advised. Some will say to you, this is between your mom and dad, they are adults, stay out of their lives. What is right things to do? Tell your father he has a right to know. You mom is the one that is doing something wrong, cheating on your dad. She made a conscious decision to. You find an appropriate time to tell you dad what you saw. He can confront your mother from there and they can sort it out. Just support him in whatever he decides to do thereafter. You can then have a conversation with your mother about this if you feel it is warranted. Tell your dad first. If you speak to your mom, she might manipulate you and present a different story to your dad. Tell your dad, dude, what if that happened to you, would want no to know, right? I would talk to your dad first, but phrase it in a way like, can you be honest with me? Do you and mom have some kind of open relationship that I don't know about? I can understand. I've also felt with this before. My father, 41, and mother, 45, had been together for over 14 years now, and my father had been cheating on my mother ever since I was 7. I am now freshman in high school. If I ever went back in time, I would have had told my mother ever since I saw a woman kissing my father on the lips. Tell dad or mom will bury the evidence. Man could be at risk of STDs. My fiancé might have touched our daughter. This just happened, and I'm at a complete loss. I'm shaking typing this. Our 2-year-old daughter constantly climbs in bed with us. When she's not in bed with us, my fiancé often grinds on me or touches me while he's sleeping. I'm a light sleeper, and I haven't been woken up by him doing it to me while I was sleeping. This is what makes me suspicious about the current situation. I told him plainly I'm not into being touched while asleep, and it hasn't happened, which is great for consent and yada yada. Tonight though, I was playing on my phone, my fiancé and daughter were cuddled up sleeping, and when I looked over, one of his hands was hooked around her waist, trigger warning, rubbing the front part of her diaper, like he was trying to rub her CL Taurus. I freaked out and punched him, grabbed our daughter and took off. I laid her in her bed, went back to ours and demanded to know if he was awake or asleep before I punched him. He said asleep and demanded an explanation. I told him what he had been doing and he got pissed. He said, I'd never touch my daughter, I'd never do that. I said, no more co-sleeping. Even if we have to live on her bedroom floor until she starts sleeping in her bed, no more co-sleeping. He responded to everything I said with, I would never touch her. I'd never do that. It wasn't in denial or sad kind of tone though, it's like he was pissed I'd imply it, like I was lying. It's 3 a.m. now, he's gone out for a smoke and I'm sitting here typing this. I was molested by a cousin for many years. I know statistically it's people you know who sexually abuse you. Can someone give me an outside perspective? I don't want to feel like a villain for trying to protect my daughter from the trauma I went through. Edit. I searched through some websites to see if my daughter showed any signs of sexual abuse, and it may be nothing, but one of them was a difficult time getting her to bed. She used to conk out at 8:39 p.m. on the daily when I worked day shifts, and when I switched to nights I kept getting told my fiancé was having a hard time getting her to go to sleep. Like, tantrum every night, screaming and crying about not wanting to, which wasn't like her at all, but we chalked up to the schedule change being hard on her. I'm chewing my fingernails raw and feeling like I'm overthinking while also feeling like I might have overlooked something major. Definitely no more co-sleeping. If he has a pattern of doing this type of thing while asleep, then it's hard to say he did this on purpose. He can go to a therapist and they can run a sleep study, test on him and do a psych eval. For him getting mad, if someone doesn't get mad when being accused of touching their daughter, then that would be a bigger red flag. It really seems like he had no idea what was going on while he was asleep. You also have trauma yourself from the past. Don't let it control your emotions right now. Googling signs of trauma right now is going to accelerate your thoughts even more. The things that are nothing will always be something online. Have him make an appointment ASAP and get himself checked out and have some test ran. Wait, so he does this when he's asleep? It's possible he has a sexual-oriented parasomnia. It sounds fake, but it's 100% real. Basically, it causes individuals who are asleep to initiate sexual contact, activity unknowingly. He needs to see a sleep specialist and a psychiatrist. It's absolutely reasonable to not allow co-sleeping anymore due to this. I'm not sure I understand the story. He would grind with you while he was asleep. But you said don't, so he no longer grinds with you while you are asleep. Is that correct? If so, then he lied to you. He doesn't have conscious control when he sleeps. You're saying stop isn't going to stop him. Maybe after months of work, but not easily. My girlfriend does this. Her symptoms are worse when she doesn't masturbate or have sex in a good while. She usually rubs against the bed and moans. She sometimes wakes up with her hand rubbing her PJ trousers, where crotch is. She has very vague memories at times when she wakes herself up doing it, but she's a lightish sleeper, so it's likely different for others. She finds it utterly humiliating. However, do not pin this situation on one possibility, you just don't know enough at this point. Keep an open mind and try to resolve it. Okay, take a breath. I think you are letting your past escalate the situation. Your fiancé's reaction is what I'd expect from someone woken from sleep by being punched and accused of molesting their daughter. I think there was no ill intent here due to his history of sleep behavior. Your daughter needs to be in her own bed though to prevent this happening again. First of all, he grinds sexually anyway when he is asleep. Knowing that, you should keep the child out of y'all's bed and not assume that he won't do what he typically does when sleeping. Nobody is responsible for what happened when they were unconscious. There's a good reason experts recommend babies don't sleep in your bed. Often parents ignore the recommendation. More than accidental sexualization is sudden infant death syndrome. You saw what you saw. He needs to accept that and get on board with solutions. Acting like you're lying just means he's going to do it again, whether consciously or unconsciously. That's not safe for your daughter to be around. You are not a villain. No co-sleeping and leaving her alone with him. Psych eval as well. Wait. Today my fiancé came home. I greeted, hugged him and sat back down to work on my computer. I got up to go get some candy from the Halloween stash and he says, "I'm gonna have to confiscate those." To which I said, "PSSSHH, you're not taking my candy." And he looked me up and down and just did a look. So I said, "What's up, say what's on your mind." He said, I can't say anything." I told him, "What are you insinuating?" and he just looked at my stomach. This isn't the one, second, fifth or seventh time he's poked at my weight. I'm 5 feet 1, 145 pounds with a 3-year-old, emergency C-section. I work out 3-5 times a week and watch my diet because I have a sensitive stomach. These comments are what have made it clear I can't possibly have another child with this man. Not only because I don't want to bring another life into this mess, but honestly I feel like if I gained weight, even baby weight, he'd have a problem and harass me. In retrospect, he did push me to lose weight when I had my first. I'm honestly disappointed, disgusting and disillusioned. I was actually heavier when we met and lost weight during pregnancy, so it's not like he met me thin and I ambushed him, by God forbid gaining weight. I feel like I'm coming to an impasse. I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking she has to change herself for a man or let anyone dictate what she should look like. I'm just tired of being tired, yawning face. Do not marry this man. Good thing you've realized this before marriage. His attitude is so damaging. It's one thing to have concerns about your so's weight, but it's about how that concern is communicated. And it doesn't sound like a concern for you, it sounds purely aesthetic. I know it's hard if you already have kids together, but I would rather have divorced parents than together parents that are fighting, and particularly if one of them makes disparaging remarks about weight like that. Even if those remarks are just aimed at you, kids pick up on the vibes and the message. Example from my life. My husband gained some mostly stomach weight because he has stressful job and bad schedule. He mentioned it here and there, so I decided to talk about it and explain him I really do not care, but if he want to lose it I will surely be there for him. I cook us healthy food and eat it with him and we work out together. This here is partnership and respect. What your partner offered you is garbage. You can't have another child with him? That sentence should say you can't possibly stay with him. It sounds like he wants to shame you into losing weight. Pretty disgusting behavior, to be honest. As long as you are happy you don't need to change yourself to please someone else. It's one thing for a loving partner to initiate a discussion about health, but what you are describing isn't even close to that. As a child my father was that way to my mom, and after she left him, and us, he was that way with me and my sisters. As adults we all still struggled terribly with food and weight anxiety. Have you talked with him about how this makes you feel? About what this behavior shows your child? I would. And if he doesn't see your side and ease up, I'd be out. A woman is her own worst critic on the subject of having weight gain. They dress themselves every day. They are aware. Your dude is a shallow douchebag. Don't put up with it. Some ladies bounce right back after kids. Mine didn't, and every time I think about it, I just remind myself she is still the same woman, and I remember how blessed I am for my 2 kids. He is coming at this with a view of superiority, as if he is some catch that you're lucky to have. A reality check is in order. Start pointing out his faults. Let him know that he's not all that. I would also recommend you start dressing up and going out at nights with friends without him. He needs to see you again through the lens of what everyone else sees, and seeing you be awesome and go out without him may cause that to click with him. Don't let him beat you down. Don't admit weakness. The only response to a bully is strength.